Every morning, just before sunrise, a fluffy grey and white cat would appear outside a little family diner in a quiet American town. And the moment the front door opened, he would walk straight inside, as if he owned the place. His name was Milo, and there was only one person he came to see. Her name was Sophie, the diner owner. Their story began on a freezing winter morning. Sophie was unlocking the diner when she heard a tiny sound coming from behind the trash bins. She looked closer, and there he was, a tiny, frightened kitten, shivering in the cold, covered in dirt and far too weak to run away. Sophie immediately wrapped him in her jacket, carried him inside, gave him some warm food, and took him to the vet. She thought that would be the end of their story. But the next morning, Milo was sitting outside the diner again. Sophie opened the door and the little kitten walked straight toward her like he had finally found the place he belonged. So Sophie gave him a warm bed near the kitchen, his own food bowl, and a name, Milo. From that day on, he became part of the diner family. Every morning, he arrived before the first customers. He would eat his breakfast, wander between the tables, and then climb onto the same old chair beside Sophie. Sometimes he would watch the cooks working. Sometimes he would fall asleep while customers came and went. And sometimes he would sit at the window like a tiny security guard, seriously inspecting everyone who walked through the door. The customers absolutely loved him. Some came for breakfast, but secretly they came to see Milo. Yet there was one thing Milo loved more than food: Sophie. Whenever Sophie sat down, Milo would immediately jump into her lap. And whenever she stood up, he followed her everywhere. Then one rainy afternoon, something happened that made everyone in the diner stop and smile. Sophie had been working for hours. She finally sat down, opened her arms, and Milo ran across the diner. He jumped straight into her arms and wrapped his tiny paws around her neck. Sophie froze. Then she hugged him back. And from that day forward, it became their little tradition. Whenever Sophie opened her arms, Milo came running. Sometimes he climbed into her arms. Sometimes he simply rested his head against her chest. But he always stayed there for a few extra seconds, as if he was saying, "I'm glad you found me." And every time Milo gave Sophie one of those little hugs, she gave him his favorite treat. Soon, the customers started noticing. Some even began waiting with their phones ready, hoping to catch one of Milo's famous hugs. But Sophie never forgot how their story began. A tiny kitten, alone in the cold, who only needed someone to open a door. And perhaps that's what makes Milo's story so special. Because sometimes the animal you rescue ends up rescuing something inside you too. And sometimes the smallest pair of paws can leave the biggest mark on your heart.